Call the Public Works Committee to order on Thursday, June 12th, 2025 at 6:05 PM. May I please have you take the roll?
Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Councilman Banano,
Here.
Councilman Andujar, Council Vice President Wall,
Here.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Present.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Present.
Thank you. Approval of meeting minutes. May I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes as drafted?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Discussion? May I please get the roll?
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Thank you. Committee business matters carried over. There are none this evening. And therefore, I would like to open the floor in chambers up to public comment. This is for docketed matters only. You may please come up to the podium and state your name and address if you'd like to provide public comment on docketed items.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, members of the council, Robert Murray. I'm here just very quickly to speak in favor of the poll request that you received from Rhode Island Energy. Mr. Correo has presented your recommendation that poll P251 be approved, not the other poll. I represent the property owner. P251 is fine with us and it'll satisfy our needs. We don't have power to the house under construction. So we'd ask that you endorse the recommendation of the Public Works Director. Thank you.
Anyone else in chambers? Could we see if there's anyone online who would like to provide public comment?
There is no public comment online.
Thank you. Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment for docketed matters. And then I would like to move ahead to new matters before the committee. This is a petition from Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England for the installation of a new pole to serve a brand new dwelling at Summit Drive. Thank you for the input from public comment. We also have a letter from our DPW director. I don't know if any other members of the committee have had a chance to review the aerial photography and the information from Mr. Correo. And then Tom, if you have, so Mr. Correo, DPW director, and I also reviewed, this is via aerial photography via near map. And as you can see, there is a pole, the proposed pole, which is P250 is very close to an existing driveway. So the DPW director has requested that the committee recommended denial on that one, and then they had no objection to P2-51 as presented. Would anyone like to motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Council President.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. This is one petition that we just had a motion to approve on in a second. However, you as the chair just described that the petition as it currently stands is not what we're seeking to pass, because we're only seeking to pass part of the petition.
That's correct.
The poll dealing with P251, not P250. Is that correct?
It's a request for both polls, but there's a recommendation that we deny P2-50.
Okay, so then I'll defer to the solicitor, but I will just say I'm not going to be in favor then of the motion to approve, because that would mean we'd be approving both poll locations, which has not been recommended. So
Right, we're looking to approve
Maybe that should be withdrawn.
P2-51.
What? Okay, sorry.
the chair, if I may, I believe that the petition could be split. It's a petition, even if there were multiple requests, you can approve, just be clear for the record, obviously, what you're approving and what you're disapproving. I think that would be acceptable.
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair, if I may, I would ask that the motion to approve be withdrawn, and that the proper motion would be, if it is the committee's intent to approve one and not the other, is to approve the petition in part as the poll X and deny the petition in part as the poll Y. That would be the motion.
I'm going to
Councilman
withdraw my
Bonanno.
motion. I was going to say, while we're discussing both polls, if I may, through the chair, ask the property owner a question or his representation. And I know he just spoke on it, but I just want to be clear, if that's all right, if I can ask Mr. Murray a question. You only need one poll, is that right?
Yes, when this was presented by Rhode Island Energy, Mr. Correo and I met out at the site. He doesn't recommend P250, which is across the street. If they put that pole on the property owner or the house side, they will still be able to service it with electricity. So there is no need. So P251, if you want to deny P250, that's your protocol. We're just looking for P251 to be approved.
Thank you.
I'm going to reframe my motion. My motion is to approve P251 and deny P250.
Second.
That's okay. Discussion. May I please get a roll?
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horan, Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Council communication. We have some communications from Councilman Wall. I would like to recognize him to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Tom, if you would, to your technical wizardry, if you could queue up the photos on 43 Poplar Drive. As Tom is putting this up, I'm going to describe some of the things you'll see. This issue had to do with, I'm going to use the vernacular. I'm not going to call them rodents. I'm going to call them rats. This is the loft apartments. I think it says 45 loft. It is located at 43 Poplar Drive. It's a nice apartment. And give the councilman a chance to get up here, unless you wanted to. We'll give you a point of light, yeah. So it's a nice apartment. As you drive by, they look very beautiful. Beautiful as you walk around from the street. Everything looks very nice. They're upscale apartments. They're owned by 3 LLCs out of Northborough, Mass. But if you got a chance, and if I had the opportunity to blow this up, just that photograph from the street, it looks okay. And I took, I believe, this one. This is an issue that was brought to my attention in April. And you'll see some closer photos. But if you looked at those rat traps, and some of them, they're full of mud. So I'm sure they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, because I haven't read anything that rats enjoy mud. And the holes are gigantic that are around this apartment. If you could, it's nice on the outside, but if you go, you can tell there's at least 20, and it might be upwards of 20. I'm going to say 20 on the low end, but if they're all around the perimeter of the apartments, the rat holes, all around. And the neighbors there, they're very concerned because nothing has been done about this. We're talking April, now we're coming into mid-June. So a new litter of rats can be born, I believe, every 21 days. So 2 new litters of rats for each of the holes if possible. That's why they're concerned, because nothing's been done. I have sent this in and just recently myself and Councilman Bonanno met with the administration and really stressed on the severity of this issue. Tom, if you could go to the next slide, if you don't mind. Give you a couple of different sites. I mean, those are good size. Some of them are so large that they've kind of been, the rat trap that's not doing anything because there's no bait in it, only mud. The rat trap is inside the hole. It's probably obscure. That's probably why they built so many, because they're blocked in. They need a new hole to get into wherever their lair is. As I said, there's at least 20, but as I look at, Councilman Bonanno was good enough to take a volume of photographs around there, and some of them are these holes as well. And the pictures you'll see, some of them in April, some of them are last week. Councilman Bonanno took his, I think, a couple of days ago,
Tuesday evening.
Tuesday night. If you could go to the next one, Tom. Same thing, it's variations on the same theme. So you get the idea. We have a large population there, okay? And it's concerning to the neighbors there, and nothing's being done about it. You go to the next one. I think unfortunately, for me to blow it up, I really wanted to show what was, as disgusting as it sounds, what was inside the trap. And if you see what's inside the trap, it's not a dead rat, it's mud. So we can tell when those traps were put out, they were left, they weren't rebaited or anything like that. So they're really doing nothing but be an ugly eyesore to the neighborhood. All right, so make sure I've got everything there. And obviously it's inadequate because it does not, whatever they're doing has not stemmed this, I don't know if it's qualified as an infestation, but quite a population of rats. Could you go to the next one? This is about 2 weeks ago, and a little sarcastic, but I guess I know why. As I go out, it's frequent, and I know Councilman Bonanno, when it's his opportunity to speak, he's going to tell you that it's constant that the trash dumpsters are overfilled. So there's a ready-made food source, and the rats are out in the middle of this. This is late afternoon, nice sunny day, and the lady said, I couldn't tell if it was a squirrel or a rat. And the woman who sent it to me sarcastically said, I just walked around. She goes, I'm going to tell you, I was right there. It's a rat. Sitting right on the dumpster, probably feeding to that, because she sent me them both at the same time. This is right across from our upscale shopping mall. All right. If you would. So to put it, I mean, I know this is not a riveting topic, but it's a serious topic because the neighbors are very concerned. That sign, if you blow it up, it says, be a good neighbor. Be a good neighbor. In my opinion, the folks who own this building, the LLCs out of Massachusetts who own it, are certainly not being a good neighbor to the people who are living in those buildings, who are paying a pretty good sum, to the neighborhood that's all around it, who is actually very worried about it, what's happening, because they're worried that pretty soon they're going to find a few of those holes on their lawn and in their backyard. So I guess my request, and I guess when we get to enforcement, my request would be, perhaps we need to force the owner in an enforcement manner to be a good neighbor to the people who live there, to the tenants, but also to the surrounding community that's been there since the 1950s and is not looking forward to this to happen. And how do we do that? We got to make sure, I mean, I'm not an expert on this. We got to make sure that they are putting the necessary, for lack of a better term, poisons around and killing off the rodent infestation. Fill up the holes. And I don't know, they're going to have to hire a professional, obviously. It's not the city's job. Fill up the holes. Cover the trash bins. Make sure they're not overfilled on a consistent basis. And I think, you know, encourage that. I don't know if inspection is going out. As of our meeting with the administration, there was nothing on that. I'm told, Councilman Bonanno, that they have been out there since then.
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to put you in an awkward position.
No, I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I'm not
if-
the one to answer that. at this
And
point.
if they aren't, they got to get out there because the clock's ticking and another Another litter of rats is gonna be being born there. Just exasperating the problem. So they have to be better neighbors, and it's nice to say, but I think as a city, we have to kind of force them to be better neighbors. We have to cite some of these violations. I can't imagine those holes all in the front that aren't violating some codes. Call them out, reach out, because it's not really right to have that out there. It's becoming, I think, kind of a health issue because rats spread disease. So I'm willing to listen, and I was listen to anything anybody from the administration would like to tell me, because something has to be done about this, and I wonder what's happening now.
Very good, Councilman.
Director Moretti.
Yeah, thank you. As you know, I think we met last week or the week before with Councilman Bonanno and yourself. Inspections has been out there. Well, first of all, it is a disgusting situation from what the evidence we see. But we have a dichotomy of what's going on. The inspections department, I guess, acknowledged seeing the holes, but didn't find any sightings per se, because it's private property. But she's inquiring. She's probably our best inspector that is trying to work with the management company to obtain their records and work with them, because in a moment we're going to ask solicitor to come up and explain the penalties and what the enforcement is. I think you might get frustrated by that. So we're thinking the best tack to take is work with them to see if we can kind of put some pressure or, to agitate the situation to make sure action is being taken. So we're trying to deal with the management company, but it seems to be as recent as today, been pretty unsuccessful to be able to work with them. And we just have to tread a little lightly how far the city can go without over pressuring. So just want to say we've kind of a feeling we're exhausting working with them. And so it would probably be the next route that I'd like the solicitor, if he wouldn't mind voicing his legal opinion, what should be next.
Yeah, thank you, Director. I certainly would like to hear what the solicitor has to say.
So Chapter 8, the Code of Ordinances, provides a mechanism for rat infestation issues. And frankly, it's not overly powerful. Basically, what it says in a nutshell is that upon receiving a complaint of a rat infestation, the Director of Public Works will send a letter certified to the registered owner of the property, explaining to them that they have 7 days to either eradicate or rat-proof the area, eradicate the rat problem or rat-proof the area. Now, if nothing is done after 7 days, they have, at that point in time, they do have an additional 23 days. It's a total of 30 days. If they don't take any action after 30 days, then a violation can be written and they are then summoned into municipal court. And from that point forward, the municipal court will handle it the way it would handle any other municipal housing violation. But I have to tell you that the fines are not, the way the code reads, the maximum fine is $50 after 30 days. And you can only, it's not a daily fine, it's not a per diem, so it's only once a month. If another 30 days elapses, still no action is taken, the most you can do is fine them another $50. So this doesn't have a lot of teeth in it, this particular ordinance, but that is the code provision. Whether or not, I can't tell you what a municipal court judge would do, how they would handle it, if he would put more stringent requirements on them, say, but I don't know that he has the authority to do it, at least under our code. Now, there may be other state statutes, for instance, that may come into play. I'm not certain about that, but once the citations are issued and the matter is sent over to municipal court, they handle it. The administration no longer handles it. It's strictly in the hands of the court.
Thank you, Solicitor. So if I'm understanding it, the way in chapter 8, our rat infestation ordinance, I guess the whole process, now the fine is definitely inadequate. And as legislators, I guess we could look at, as a legislative body, you know, maybe making the fine have a little more teeth. Because I see a $50 fine, you know, it's not a lot, especially, I don't know when it was written. Perhaps we didn't have the significant issue we have now. But I guess, I mean, I would be in favor, and I don't know, I maybe call Director Moretti up again, if you would, to answer. I would be in favor at least starting, and I don't believe that's my authority, but I would encourage, you know, the administration through the Public Works to begin that process, at least some process. I don't think it's adequate, but it is what we have, like you said before. That I wouldn't be pleased with it, and I'm not. That's the way it is. But it would be something in those lines to kind of remind them that you're violating our city ordinances. And if people around here are not happy with what you're doing. And I think that would start with the letter, and then the clock would tick up to 30 days after that, and then they would, if that wasn't remediated, they pull them in.
The ordinance,
Municipal court.
the ordinance does say they're supposed to take immediate action, but then in the next sentence, it says, but no more than 30 days. So really, that's basically, why would you take immediate action if you've got up to 30 days? It's the way it's written.
So yes, we agree. Director's here. I think he may have a few words, but minimally, I think we could stop that ticker in sending that letter at this time. Again, unfortunately, we haven't been successful with trying to just deal with the management company, which I don't understand why. It's perplexing, but perhaps the director can embellish.
And I certainly like to hear from the director before I yield my time. And you know what? I apologize because I've been kind of flagging things, and it's not my meeting. So
If I could,
I'm gonna,
through the chair.
yes,
if I
go
may.
ahead, Council
Just to
President.
point to what's being discussed is, now, I'm not familiar with the exact circumstances of this, but I see that a dumpster is involved. And an additional ordinance is 8/12/153 that deals with dumpsters, and that is a daily fine of $50 a day. So if they are not in compliance with respect to the requirements of a dumpster that the city has imposed, then, which is any overflowing of a dumpster due to accumulations of garbage, refuse, trash, not picked up at least once a week, will be fined $50 a day. And there's other things in that. So it's not just one option, at least for what we do have on the books. If they're not in compliance, that should be addressed as well in the covering of it. Thanks.
Madam Chair?
So Councilwoman Haroyan asked, then Bonanno, then Andujar.
I would just like to make a note that on Monday, April 28th at 4 PM, I did meet with Solicitor Malay with my dissatisfaction of the ordinances and businesses not being fined. I've had several situations in my ward where I've had to email Gina to have somebody go out to the same business over 3 times. And it doesn't seem like businesses have any consequences for this. And I'm waiting to hear from Solicitor Malay if we can put ordinances in, so there will be more fines issued and they will go to the court, and the city will also make money off this. We all want to keep our properties up, and I don't feel that it's being done and there's no consequences.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll-
That's all right, no
I'll go-
problem.
Councilman-
Okay, I have a few things to say on this matter. First of all, Councilman Wall and I have worked on this together, at least this particular property. And I welcome and appreciate the spirit of working together. I live in this neighborhood. I drive by here every day, but as a citywide councilman, you know, it's good to work with the ward council person as well, no matter who it is, as a citywide member, because that's how it's supposed to work. So, you know, even though it might not look like anything is being done, you know, your citywide council person, in this case, it's myself, the ward council person, and the mayor's office are working to try to get something accomplished. Now, is it being done fast enough? No, probably not. Okay, I will acknowledge that, all right? I do want to say that Council President Marino mentioned dumpsters, and the council here has two packages of photographs. One is in color. The packages, and as far as I know, they're separated by color and black and white. The ones that are in color for the council's edification were taken on, I believe, Tuesday evening. It was either Monday or Tuesday evening of this past week. Okay, the ones that are in black and white were taken on May 20th. And the ones that were taken on May 20th show an open dumpster that is impossible to be closed. And Tommy's trying to get it up on the screen. See, that's my meat hook hand, okay? And you cannot, yeah, it's my wedding ring, right? That dumpster can't be closed because as you look at the bottom, if you try to swing the dumpster up, you're gonna hit that partition, okay? Not only that, I don't know if I included it in the shots that I sent to the city clerk's office and Mr. Lima to show at the meeting, but that particular dumpster's wheel was broken. Did I see it right there? So you cannot slide the dumpster out to attempt to close it. Now, that was May 20th, okay? If you go to the pictures that I took on Monday, while we're just talking about dumpsters here. The dumpsters, every time I've rented a dumpster, seen a dumpster, jumped in a dumpster, anything to do with dumpsters, they were always made out of metal. These dumpsters are made out of plastic. Now, is this the property owner's fault? I don't think so. Because when I order a dumpster, I assume it's going to be good enough to keep rats and people and anything else that wants to live there out of it. Okay? But these dumpsters are made out of plastic. If you look at this, Tommy, can you get this one up, please? There you go. I don't even have to say any words. Okay? But for the stenographer, it's cracked and a rat can get in there. Okay? There's another one. Tommy, how about this one? Oh, there you go. That hole isn't supposed to be there. And I took pictures of the dumpster on the other side to show that the dumpster on the other side doesn't have that hole, which means that one of our little friends made a little pathway to get to dinner time. Okay, so we're just talking about dumpsters. Okay, we're just talking about dumpsters. Now, is it the city's responsibility to go out there and abate the rats? No, it is not. Is it the mayor's responsibility or the council's responsibility or any other elected official's responsibility out there to go lay rat traps and lay poison? And no, it isn't. It's the property owners. But what is the city's responsibility is to send an inspector and cite these folks. And I realize that Solicitor Verdecchia stated that the legislation or the code doesn't have a lot of teeth and it's a very small fine. Most people, A, don't know that. And if they get threatened with a code violation, they get very nervous. I've managed some rental property in my life and I can speak from experience. And I do think that it is the right approach that before you just go out there and, an inspector just, issues a violation, that as a city, we work with people to try to get things done the right way first. But if the property owner isn't responding, giving us the information we need or are requesting, what choice do they leave us? And whether or not the fine is there or not, and I guarantee, by the way, by the time this legislative session is over, when we go to another council in 2 years, we're going to change this. We're going to change this because I see Councilman Wall, Councilman Campopiano and I have talked about rats before. I know it's an issue in Ward 2, Ward 3. Everybody is going to be in favor of making this stronger. But regardless of that, nobody wants to deal with the pain in the neck of going to municipal court. Nobody wants to deal with that. It's easier to mitigate the problem. So I would just like, through the chair, to say, I appreciate the inspector's been out there and I appreciate that, you know, the wheels of government do turn slowly, but there needs to be some sort of violation issued if there are violations there, which we can see that there are. I think the ship sailed for, you know, good faith. Many neighbors have complained, you know, people, you know, when I go to pick up my daughter from school, they're concerned because, you know, rats kind of march like an army and there's a line. And as that line gets closer and closer to where people who keep up their property and do the right thing and mow their grass and take care of their trash, as that line gets further and further into the neighborhood, the city's going to hear a lot more about it. And it's not going to be fun for anybody. So if we could keep it away from there and we try to, you know, get this at this point, it won't go any further. I think the neighbors deserve that. Thank you.
Councilman Andujar, you're next.
Well, I want to thank Councilman Wall and Councilman Bonanno for showing up and showing us these pictures, but it's an actual waste of time. Nothing is going to happen. The laws are too lax. We need to develop a housing court. With the housing court, they will be fined, they will be liened, and if they don't pay the liens, it will be put in receivership. So until we develop an actual court that's going to go after these people, nothing's going to happen. So I thank you guys for doing this, but $1,500 a day or a month, I should say, $1,500 a month is one apartment. It's probably their profit for one apartment. So most likely they're not going to buy new trash cans. They're not going to litigate the situation with the rats. They're just going to pay the fine. So until we actually have a housing court that could actually go and find these people and have teeth, we're wasting our time. So I just want to put that on the record.
Thank you. Councilman. All right. Council President.
Thank you. Just on point to what Councilman Andujar had mentioned, the one very vital part of that is that before we address a housing court, we have to have inspections. Because let's be real, the housing court judges don't go out to the properties, the inspections department does. And we do have a municipal court that has a housing component to it. And in discussions with both the court, with the mayor's office, we have a real issue with inspections. And there are currently ordinances that do address daily fines, as we mentioned, relative to dumpsters. We're just not seeing inspections for a variety of reasons being able to execute on that. When that is shaped up, then we'll see improvements even within the current court system in which we have. Thanks.
Councilman Andujar.
Madam President, with all due respect, I submitted a ordinance package to create a housing court with inspectors. I also submitted it to the mayor's office unofficially. So we're just waiting for you to look at it. So that way we could move forward and create it.
With all due respect, Councilman Andujar, it doesn't go through me for that to happen. So I think there's some miscommunication issue along those lines. Again,
I will
I've spoken with with Director Moretti. I've spoken with the mayor on more than one occasion within this term relative to the need for inspections to be improved. There are real problems within that department. And until that occurs, there is nothing further that can be conducted. And we do have means and tools currently under what we have, but you know. we
Thank
can
you, Madam
address that
President. I'll
later.
submit it to
Thanks.
the clerk for the next ordinance committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ritz is next, and then I'll recognize Councilman Wall.
Just a quick comment. I was just wondering with the timing of this, with the fire at Applebee's, I was wondering if they could be that could be the source of these rats moving down. I didn't know if that was looked at or not, but that could be another recourse to maybe talk to them about this. I don't know, it's just a comment.
Sorry, Councilman Wall.
And I didn't raise, I had my hand raised, but I wasn't raising it. It could be a factor. I mean, I don't know, I'm not sure. And I appreciate everybody's insight. And right now we have to kind of work with what we have. And I believe it's going to be necessary to strengthen the ordinances we have right now. Increase the fines if necessary, enforce them, go out, cite people. We haven't done that yet. I think I heard Councilman Bonanno say something that, people get a registered letter from the city, and all of a sudden they start, well, maybe I want to do the right thing. It's not good optics. This is a pretty upscale apartment building. It's not good optics to see that we're talking about a rat infestation. So I want to believe off the top of my head, and maybe I'm being a little Pollyanna, that they're going to want to be a good neighbor. Perhaps we got to get the ball rolling. Perhaps we send that registered letter out there and see what happens there. But in the meantime, I think this definitely shows that the ordinances we have need to be beefed up a bit. And I don't see anybody who's not agreeing with that in this room. So I think we try that first. And, that's kind of the bow I'd put on it. I would agree with that. Because what we're doing is obviously not working too well.
Thank you. I'd actually like to comment as well. And this question is for Director Moretti or anyone who'd like to answer from the administration. I guess my question, and maybe I'm just a little naive, I mean, I'm a newbie, and I guess I would like to better understand the process for when one of these properties is brought forward. Then what happens? And what is the first step? What is the second step? What is the third step? I know what my steps are. So I think we need a little bit of education in this council so we can say, where's the miscommunication, or where is it not functioning properly when there's enforcement? I guess I'm not understanding why this isn't a functioning action of enforcement.
Director Moretti asked me to address this. I mean, I can tell you what the legal process is. It starts with inspection. It then proceeds to issuance of a violation. From there, it proceeds to municipal court. From there, the municipal court judge issues orders, and with the goal toward compliance. But if there's no compliance, then it's up to the court to fashion a remedy. Once the administration issues, or code enforcement issues, that violation, they've basically fulfilled their obligation. There's nothing more they can do other than issue more violations.
So can we dive a little bit deeper if the committee doesn't mind? So I'm willing to go a little bit deeper with the terms. So essentially, if, let's say, Councilman Wall says, okay, 43 Poplar Drive has an issue, and he sends that through the administration, they then send it to the zoning enforcement officer, who then issues a municipal ticket.
Well, it's the code says to the Public Works Director or his designee. So
Okay,
it could be
thank
either
you.
one. Yeah.
But it's a municipal ticket. It's an ordinance violation. Okay.
Correct.
And then if that is not paid within 21 days, or they can request a hearing with the court, right?
Well, no, what happens is the notice, the violation is issued. You give them 7 days to comply. If they don't comply, you send out a letter saying you need to comply immediately. The code says they're supposed to comply immediately, but no more than 30 days. So no matter what, there's basically a 30-day, I don't know what you want to call it, a grace period or something like that, before you can actually issue the fine, the notice of violation and the fine.
Oh,
The
so
first thing that goes out is basically a notice saying, look, you've got an issue here, take care of it.
Okay, so it's a warning and then a ticket.
Well, it's more than a warning. It's basically saying remediate, or else we go to the next step.
Right, but there's no incentive until the ticket comes. Yeah.
Well, that I can't.
Okay, so then the ticket comes and they can either request a hearing or they can pay the ticket. What if they just pay the ticket and do nothing?
Well, in that situation, I believe, once you reach a certain number of violations, I think the court will have some additional powers. But that's really up to the municipal court judge if it's repeat offenders. But beyond that, there really isn't much. The code is very limited.
So then the city would have to decide to seek an injunction against the entity.
Well, I was going to segue into that. At the end of the day, I always say this, as you know, I say it with licensing, I'll say it here. The General Assembly, state statute gives the towns and municipalities the power and the ability to invoke the jurisdiction of the Superior Court to aid the town and city in enforcing its ordinances. But again, that's a pretty big undertaking.
I know, I do it. Sometimes it just has to be done. I guess that's like, we should be able to funnel these addresses and then there should be action because that's sort of my point. Like, we're already at 2 months just to get the ticket. That's 2 months from the date of finding it. So you're already 60 days in. So I guess that's my point. Like, we need to take direct action on it, and I think the administration needs to figure out how that's going to work and how we can get that working and how we can help facilitate that.
The other possibility, if I could just add this one last thing,
Sure.
is if the situation rises to the level of a direct threat to public health, safety, morals, so on and so forth, then there would be, I think, pretty strong grounds to go to Superior Court and seek injunctive relief.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes.
So the conversation needs to obviously stay confined to 43 Poplar Drive, but there's a larger discussion here that the ordinance framework with respect to the process, timeframes, and fines is inadequate, does not provide incentive. That obviously can be tightened up. My suggestion is, as it has been on some other things in the past, is to take this issue, let's look at the ordinances that we have in place, and let's workshop this issue and make sure that the council understands completely, as Mr. Videcchia has pointed out just now, without getting too deeply into it because we're a little off topic, but still related. How long does the process take? Okay. And one thing I might say to you is, there are ordinances in municipalities where if somebody refuses to cut their grass, and how timely is that? Then eventually the city can go out there, cut the grass and send them a bill. Okay. So my point is that maybe there needs to be some creative thinking to incentivize this process, but let's get an understanding among everyone in the room what the present process looks like and see what we can do to beef that up. And as Mr. Videcchia pointed out, perhaps to put some more teeth in it to get us to a court sooner rather than later. But to Mr. Videcchia's point also, and I think he was alluding to this, you have to provide a criteria that allows you to take the next step and provide you can't deprive the property owner of due process. By the way, that's a first. I've never had anyone look at me with sunglasses. So, I think you see where my head is on this. Everybody in this room is absolutely right, but we don't have the tools. The tools are inadequate. And the tools, as I'm hearing it with respect, don't just rest with the inspection function or the citation function.
Thank you, Council. Councilman Bonanno.
First of all, can we get Councilwoman Graziano a shade or something? She's got her shades, but needs a shade. With respect to this property, I will say, I did get a phone call today from the administration about it. And they are, and perhaps Director Moretti can speak more to it, but there have been conversations between the administration and the inspections department about going out there and actually citing the property. So again, is this taking too long? I believe it is. But I want to say that, it's, and like Councilor Angel said, we have to take outside of the realm of this particular property, we got to take a look at the soup to nuts, the whole procedure, not only for rats, but for any sort of minimum housing or violations. At some point, based on this situation, I want the council as a whole to have a conversation with inspections. So I think that, that's something that we want to put on the agenda for perhaps next Public Works meeting, and get the head of inspections down here and see exactly what's going on. Because I think there are a lot of people in our city that, elected and non-elected, that want to see a better performance out of that area. So I think I'm going to ask the clerk, put that on for next month so we can get ready for that.
Thank you. Yeah, you can email it for Public Works. Thank you. And Councilman Wall, are you done with 43 Poplar Drive? And would you like to move on or?
The only thing I'd like before we put a bow on it, perhaps we could hear from the director. Did you have something to add? I know you stood up and we went off a little bit, and I know you wanted to weigh in. I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, just, Madam Chair, members of the council, I think we're all heading in the same direction and we all look for the same thing. I just wanted to let you know that I did reach out to inspections, not that they fall under Public Works, but I did reach out to them, and a letter was sent out on May 22nd. So in reference to what the council has said, that relative to the 30 days and the 7 days, that 30 days has not lapsed yet before you can take the next step, but a letter was sent out. The letter was issued on May 22nd. And then from there, we can follow up with the 30 days and then it's fines, et cetera. I just wanted to make sure, I wanted to clarify that has been done. I know it seems like a lot of what we've been speaking about, they're saying that that has not happened yet, but through inspections, a letter did go out to them on the 22nd.
Appreciate that clarification. I'm going to go ahead and reopen public comment. It seems that there is someone from the public that would like to speak. So I'm going to offer that we reopen public comment for docketed items only. If you'd like to come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please, and you have 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you, council. Just in general, I'm a resident at 45 Poplar Drive, so I just wanted to make that remark that I'm not sure why 43. Oh, Evan Goad, sorry, G-O-A-D. Sure. I just wanted to make a few replies to some of the comments that were made tonight. It's not, I don't think it's related to the Applebee's fire. The rats have been an issue in that dumpster for as long as I've been a resident at the apartment building, November 2023. It wasn't always as bad as it is now, but not related to that. One of the questions I wrote down before it was even addressed by the committee was, does the fact that the rats have contacted multiple residents at the apartment raise this to a wider public health issue? But I see that that's already on your radar. So just let us as the residents know if there's anything that we can do to help you. I know multiple people have videos, pictures, anything that you need to help. Obviously, we don't want to have this to be a legal issue, but if that's the only way to resolve it, and if it is indeed a public health concern, I think it's probably worth it. And then also, I just wanted to say I appreciate Councilman Andujar's criticism that there needs to be some sort of a court in place with, ordinances that you can actually do something to enforce this issue, because it seems like the fine is not something that is really prohibitive of them actually doing something about this. So thank you, council. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please come to the podium, state your name and address in 4 minutes.
I'm Kim Pereira. I live at 15 Buttonwood Drive. I just want to say that I was told several times that this property was inspected and everything was in order. And I have emails from Gina in the mayor's office that states that several times. So I don't know what went wrong, but it's wrong.
If you'd like to forward them to the council, our information is available on the website.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on docketed items in the chambers? Would you mind checking, since we opened public comment, could we please check online as well, please?
There's no public comment online.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and close public comment again for docketed items. Thank you. Councilman Wall, do we understand where we're going with 43 Poplar Drive?
Yes, well, for now I do. Thank you.
Okay, so you'd like to move on to 0 Lawrence Drive?
Yes. Just a point of clarifications before I do move on. The reason I put 43 Poplar Drive, Vision Appraisal has it listed as 43. Either that or my eyes are just terrible. Because I said the same thing, because right on the side of the building it says 45. That's why it says 43. I looked on Vision Appraisal to look at it. That's it. It's very odd, yeah, I know, but I just wanted to clarify that, just so you know, yeah. Okay. 0 Lawn Acre Drive. Thank you so much. Some of you who are on the council may remember that, and I'll give you it very brief because I know we've taken a little bit of time this evening. This was on in December, and it was concerning a property that abuts about 15 plots, people's homes. And it's in the back of the properties on Lawn Acre Drive. Tom, if you could go to the next one. So if you see it, that big blue area on the screen, that's 0 Lawn Acre Drive. Could you go back again just to refresh my memory? It has been in tax lien since 1991. All right. At that time, that was the concern, because what's happening since 1991, the oak trees and the elm trees and the maple trees, they have been growing wild into the properties. And the neighbors, who've been there a long time, have certain concerns because these gigantic trees are growing into their property. And taking down the amount of them, it's a lot of money. So they reached out to me in December. And I can show you some of the other stuff. I'll just go very quickly, just so, this is even new stuff. I assume now it's growing really well. But if you see it, just keep skipping through, Tom, a little bit. You can see the property grows right over into this guy's yard. So, and a lot of these people in that area are getting a little older in age, and some of them are on pensions, and they're concerned with the big limb falling on their house, rightfully so. These are pretty sizable trees. They're not little ones. You skip again, Tom? So you kind of get the gist. So I put this on because at that time, we had some discussion, and I think first, I know I mentioned it to Solicitor Videcchia. He was going to weigh in because the question is, what are we going to do? Because what's happening here is not fair. 2, it's been in tax lien. Whoever owns it, they owe us a lot of taxes. And what are we doing about this? So I just want an update. I'm sure it's not going to be larger. Yep.
Yes, Councilman. So this, I know you would raise these questions several months ago. And unfortunately, I don't have much new to say except to sort of again, just recap what was discussed the first time and what I found out the first time for some of the newer members who may not have been here. But this particular parcel of land that abuts this neighborhood was formerly owned by an LLC who many years ago went defunct. Now, if you know anything about, and Attorney Angel can weigh in on this, limited liability corporations are just that. And most times when they become defunct, or people simply just walk away from them, number one, liability is limited to the assets of that particular limited liability corporation, which most of the time is either nothing or extremely minimal. And the reason for that is because most of them are pass-through entities, essentially, and you form an LLC basically to insulate yourself from liability. So having said that, they fell way behind on their taxes, again, many years ago. And I remember I had a conversation with Finance Director Zadelis, and he informed me that the city did, in fact, years ago, held a tax sale to which no one showed any interest. So what happened at that time was the city took back the land pursuant to what's called a tax deed. So this was money that was owed to the city in lieu of the money, because there was none to pay the taxes. The city takes ownership of the property pursuant to tax deed. Okay, so since that's happened, I have no further information as to whether or not anything more has been done relating to that property. All I can say is that, and I know this is not going to be much help to you or to the neighbors, but Rhode Island law certainly recognizes the right of adjoining property owners to undertake tree trimming at their own expense, of course, to any tree or foliage that encroaches upon their land. And I can't, I'm just giving you the legal background. Obviously, there are policy considerations here. I have no idea if, it's even feasible for the city to assume this. I mean, first of all, the city took back this land because it had no other choice. It's really kind of unfair to the city and the taxpayers to have to burden the cost of going out and remediating this situation, because as I said, it was through no fault of the city. The city had no choice but to take this back. So unfortunately, not every problem that involves private property necessarily invokes the participation of city government. And I don't mean to be cruel in saying that, but private property ownership unfortunately comes with a lot of different responsibilities. And when a neighbor, if you want to call them that, or an adjoining property owner does not fulfill their responsibility, the law says, well, you're not completely powerless. You can do something about it. We're not going to just, you got a massive tree limb hanging over your roof. Yeah, that's a dangerous situation. But what do you do if someone doesn't want to take care of that? Well, we're going to give you the power to take care of it. What would happen in that situation? Whatever costs you have, perhaps, and I don't know this, it would depend on the facts. Would you have a cause of action to recoup that? But it's kind of a circle, because then we get back to, well, the city has a tax deed on the property. So unfortunately, I can't give you any more clarity than that. I think it's beyond the legal question now, and it's more a policy question.
Madam
Thank you. I
Chair,
know-
Madam Chair, I have a question. When did we become the tax owner of this property?
Right.
Yeah, so it was several years ago. Frankly, I don't recall at the top of my head, but it was a while ago.
So with respect, and I take this a step further, city owns the property. We're the tax owner of the property. We own the property, okay? It doesn't mean we're stuck with the property, okay? There is a mechanism in the Rhode Island general laws where we now own it. We can sell it. We can sell it at a low value, what's called a low value tax sale, which requires city council approval by resolution to sell it. And you have to do it by resolution because you have to recognize the value you're selling it for and permit that the interest and fines and anything else that's accrued be erased. Otherwise, nobody will buy it, okay? But it obviously wasn't purchased through the tax sale process. We're the owners.
If I may, just to expand on what Attorney Angel just said, the first question I asked at the time of Director Zadella says, well, why don't we sell the property? And unfortunately, this particular parcel is not very amenable to sale. Number one, its configuration. That's the first problem. The second problem is I think it's predominantly wetland. So for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much open space, if nothing else. So that it's not marketable. So everything that could go wrong basically has gone wrong. So that's where we are.
So, and thank you. And that was, that, and maybe once again, I'm thinking, some of these people are just not in a position to cut these giant trees down. And I know that I'm just opining that, they've already expressed to me, some of them just don't have the financial means to do it. And I knew that before, that's wetlands. And it initially was, I think it was owned by the Garden State developer, like way back in the 50s, forever and ever. And this group bought it years ago. And even on, and when I was first, when the problem was first brought to my attention, I checked, Vision Appraisal, who owns this thing? Because no one could get an answer. And that's how I got the group. But it's not actually accurate because I guess we own that property, which I guess at this point, and I know we don't have any legal recourse because the truth is it kind of fell on our lap. It is, and I know the property owners, they can take care, they have the option to take care of the limbs that are on their side if it's in their property. I've explained that to them. But listen, I have similar trees in my yard. you know, and it's sad that the neighbor they have, you know, sometimes you get these big companies, and once again, maybe there's a theme here. They're not a very good neighbor, some of them, because I had a big oak tree between my property and my neighbors. We pitched in together, we cut it down. It didn't fall on his house, it didn't fall on mine. It was literally right on the property line. Now, once again, Pollyanna, you know, I'm putting that out there. But I just wanted an update on that, and I appreciate the efforts you guys did and thank you. That's about all I have on this matter.
Thanks. Councilman Andujar, did you want to say something?
No, Attorney Angel said everything. I just think there's a lot of square footage there. If we could work with our zoning commission, we could probably carve out 1 or 2 lots, maybe send this property to the redevelopment agency, and then from there, with the RFP or whatever, they could, you know, maintain these tree limbs, because it's not fair to, you know, the senior citizens and the Cranston residents that pay taxes, that now they have to incur an additional cost. So I'm pretty sure out of over 300,000 square feet, we could carve out 2-3 lots, which will be, you know, desirable for a developer. So that's all I have to say, but Attorney Angel said everything.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment, not to spend tons of time, and I'll correct myself that I read it as Lawrence, it's Lawnaker, so I am aware of that. I mean, this is really interesting. So it's owned by the city. I think it would be great to do a GIS survey to find out exactly what we're talking about. I mean, Councilman Wall and Councilman Andujar have concerns, and if we did a GIS survey, we would actually know where the wetlands are, where the uplands are. The city should do a little bit more investigation since it is under our ownership. And then quite possibly we could use, I don't know, I guess I won't say that, but, you know, we could get more information on the parcel and better plan for what we can do with it. I fully support that. I also would support it as open space. Seeing that being it, we're going to go ahead and move on to Council President Marino, who also has an update.
Thank you, Councilman Graziano. Just seeking an update from the administration relative to the city arborist position and tree trimming and removal. The city arborist had left his position, and I had heard from some residents and other council people too who had issues with complaints for the need for some trees removal and trimming to be addressed, and that there was a backlog because the position was vacant. So if Director Moretti, if you just want to give us an update as to where that current position stands, thanks. Or Director Correa.
Through the chair, I am pleased to be able to tell you that we did meet with a candidate. His name was Christopher Lowens, I believe his last name is. We met with him on June 3rd. And he was willing to accept the position. And as of now, based on some conversations with him, he's going to be starting on June 30th of this year.
Wonderful.
Okay. And Madam President, you are correct. There is a huge backlog of approximately 40 trees. I do want to just inform you, though, that there is a true process for the removal of these trees that the council had put in place, and it's relatively significant. I was hoping it would be as easy as removing the trees, because many of the trees that we're talking about are causing major problems with the sidewalks adjacent to them. So whether it's the sidewalks lifting, or it has something to do with the utility that's feeding the property on the private side that's adjacent to where these trees are. So there are some real issues. And, you know, the fact that what the requirements are is we're talking about having to be notified. We have to evaluate the tree. We need to post on the tree that's got X number of days for people to come back to comment on whether or not they want to keep it, save it. So I mean, that there are some hoops. I'm hoping that if it's pleasure of the council that you want to get these trees, we would be looking at somewhat of an expedient process once this gentleman comes on board to be able to review these and be able to remove these trees, because they are causing significant potential trip and fall hazards, which will ultimately be the council or the city's problems.
If I can, through the chair, that we had an ordinance already on the books that provided for notification, and in the last term on council, we revisited that ordinance because there was a large contingency of residents that, and even some business owners actually too, that were not happy with the lack of notification to some older, more established trees and the lack of shade, et cetera. So we worked back and forth, came in committee more than once, if my memory is correct, and that was what we landed upon. I am open to having a discussion if there is another more expedient way to address it while still respecting people's concerns about notification. I'd be more than happy to revisit that with you when the arborist comes on board and do a workaround with the current ordinance. You know, maybe if it's something where if there is a diagnosis by the arborist that the tree is of a danger, then we could maybe have a different process that's more expedient than it currently is. And that's all I have. And I saw through the chair, Councilwoman Haroyan, I believe, had her hand up as well. Thanks.
And if I could just follow up on that conversation, many of the requests that we receive are from the property owner that is directly adjacent to that tree. So how far outside of that, if a neighbor says, well, I want the tree to stay because it's not causing a problem for them, the people who are adjacent to the tree, it is causing the problem and they would like to see it removed. So again, going out and advertising and getting other input will definitely complicate that process.
Thank you, Councilwoman Haroyan.
I had a constituent reach out to me 5 weeks ago, maybe, about a tree on the opposite side of the street that the branches had grown over the street, and he cannot park his cars in front of his house because the branches are hanging on his car or have company. That's my concern, and that now it's 5 weeks later, we get wind, rain, and there's gonna be damage and we're gonna be liable. I've sent multiple emails. Will that be addressed right when he starts?
Again, not knowing the exact location, I mean, he's not going to be here for another 2+ weeks. It's going to take some time to get oriented. And I mean, I have a list right here and there's over 40 trees right now that are slated to be removed in one form or another or trimmed. And I can assure you that at least 90% of those trees ought to be removed. A few of them are diseased, a few of them have complications, but many of them are healthy trees that are just raising the sidewalks. The roots are popping through the sidewalks. There's no way to get around. Once you start cutting those major roots, you're killing the tree anyway. So you have a sidewalk where people are walking that is potentially 2-3 inches above. And if people are walking in the evening hours, you're not going to see that. So we have to literally think about removing that sidewalk first, have a tree removed, have the tree trunk ground down, also be able to go out there, grind out the roots, so that we can go back and actually replace that sidewalk segment so that you can have a safe passable route.
I fully understand that, but I think branches going across the street on the street is a liability, and to wait this long is unacceptable.
Councilman Andujar.
Director, I just want to thank you for, I know you're a one-man show over there, and I want to thank the men and women of the DPW. We received an email today and you responded before I did on Oak Street. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the neighbor. She's very, very pleased with the response that you made, and hopefully, you know, we could work on these issues when this tree person or arborist comes on board.
Correct. And I mean, our goal is to get back to the people as quickly as possible. If not having the answer they want to hear, at least to let them know we acknowledge it. We've been able to address it by putting it on the list. But again, not being the arborist, and I think technically it says that the arborist is the one who has to go out there to review these trees. I'm not able to do that. No one in the department right now is able to do that. So again, our hands are kind of tied, waiting for someone to come on board. Once that does happen, the gentleman is twofold. One, he is going to be certified and licensed to be able to be a tree arborist, but he is also certified in pest control, which he's also going to be able to assist in the placing of rat and rodent traps going forward, to give the one gentleman that we have today that's chasing his tail throughout the city, putting in traps new and rebaiting them. This other gentleman will also be able to do that same function as well. So he will have split duties.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Director, if
that.
you want to go back to school, we could send you back for those 2 titles. So.
That I can keep. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President, are you all set? Okay, seeing nothing further on the agenda, I am going to look for an motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. We're adjourned.
Okay, I'd like to call the ordinance meeting to order today, June 12th. It is 7:17 PM. Clerk, can you please take a roll?
Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Councilman Banano,
Here.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Present.
Councilwoman Horoyan, Council Vice President Wall,
Here.
Councilman Andujar,
Present.
Council President Marino.
I'm looking to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 15th meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan, Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next up is looking for entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 2nd special meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan, Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Okay, next up, we have committee business matters carried over, an ordinance and amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32, Section 30 of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Multi-Way Stop Sign at Intersections. I believe we have a traffic study on this. This was on Cleveland Street, high volume traffic. Parents are asking for it, so I looking to entertain a motion for passage.
Motion to approve.
second,
Clerk, please take a roll.
Oh, we can discuss it, can't we?
Any discussion, any discussion?
I'm confused as to what this report actually says. I know what the words say, and I know what the words mean. But is the Bureau of Traffic Safety in favor of it or not? I can't really glean that from what.
From my
what it
understanding,
says.
they just want to implement an all-way stop sign for the intersection for the four corners.
To the chair, if I may, I believe, if I was reading it correctly, that the traffic safety commissioner is not in favor of this particular ordinance because apparently he's of the opinion that stop signs should not be used for speed control, and that essentially that's what this seeks to address. I believe that's what the first study says. The second, he offered no opinion on the no parking sign.
Well, I have constituents over there that are complaining that are speeding cars and that people aren't stopping. So I urge everybody to approve it. I mean, I'm going to be for it. This is for safety. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, a little girl got hit on Cranston Street, and it was because there were speeding cars. So we can't implement speed bumps. We can't have temporary speed bumps. So I think the only way that we could actually minimize speeding is by making people stop. So I would urge that my colleagues would approve this, and I would ask for your vote. Any other discussion? Councilman Graziano.
Thank you, Councilman Andujar. I feel you. I absolutely understand this, and especially the last couple things you said. My ward is in the same boat, and we don't do speed bumps. That's my understanding as well. So, you know, it's interesting that there's no support here for this. I mean, I'm not a traffic safety person, but I think whatever we can do to alleviate the issue, I mean, we can't just do nothing. And I'm having problems in my ward, so I hear your concern.
Thank you. Anyone else with discussion?
Just a point of,
Council President Maria.
sorry, go ahead.
Thank you to the chair. I'll be in favor of it. I understand the situation that you're in. Similar wards have similar circumstances, and I appreciate that you've spoken with the residents and trying to provide them with relief. The one caveat is that the traffic engineer did mention that he requires an additional ordinance that will be the deletion in a sister ordinance under 103202 .20, excuse me, to delete the existing two-way stop. His recommendation is that we do that before this one is adopted, but what I would propose, and I'll defer to the solicitor if it's okay, to pass this ordinance, have it go to the full council, but next, at the full council meeting, just introduce an ordinance with this required deletion. And then maybe we can just wait until the four-way stop sign is put up or something. I think that would be a compromise. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam President. Anyone else for discussion? Councilmember Nano.
That's what I was gonna say, so. Not exactly what I was gonna say, but I was gonna ask a question about the sister ordinance, so. I'm good, thank you.
Any other discussion? Director Moretti.
Thank you, sir. Just whether it be this particular ordinance and speeding issues, obviously this is the time of year you're gonna hear more about it. As we have done routinely, if anyone does have speeding concerns, which you will, the police department generally is very more than willing to do traffic assessments and test that area and report back to council members about speeding in certain areas. I can't do it all the time, but they will do it as far as resources are available, and they're pretty responsive. So whether it be this particular concern or other speeding issues, just want to make sure we're offering that to the public, because we kind of defer to them as the experts. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Anyone else for public discussion? For discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to ordinance and amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32, Section 40 of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled No Parking on Certain Streets. Basically, there's a famous restaurant on this street, and there's, I want to say, some parking issues. So going over there a few times, I've spoken to almost all the neighbors already, and I wanted to make an amendment to this. So I think, City Solicitor, should I put the amendment first, or should I just say it now?
So what is the amendment?
The amendment would be to no parking on the even street side. So basically the left side. So it would read, Sabre Street, no parking on the even house side from Mahanasset Street westerly for the distance of 245 feet.
Amended first.
Okay.
So I don't think you can motion because it's yours, right? So I'll make a motion to approve with the following amendment.
No, just the motion to amend.
All right, motion to amend. So it would read the same, except and adding the following: Sabre Street, no parking on the side of the street that houses the even numbered houses from Manhasset westerly for a distance of 245 feet. That's my motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano, Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Thank you. Next, we have public hearing.
No,
Oh, wait. Oh, now we have to approve it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Ordinance as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Council President Reno.
Yes.
Now we can move on. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before you do move on, sorry, you just want to make sure that it's the amended ordinance that gets before the council at the regular meeting. Thank you.
Okay, now we can move on, correct? Okay, now we can move on. Is there a public hearing? Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on docketed items? Technical clerk, is there anyone online that would like to speak on docketed items?
There is no public comment online.
Okay, I guess we're gonna close public comment. Moving on to new matters before the committee. We have ordinance 525-1, ordinance and amendment of Title 5, Chapter 4 of the City of Cranston Code of Ordinances 2005, entitled Licenses Generally. Sponsor, would you please speak?
Yes. Would you like me to speak on all four of them instead of going back and forth?
I think we should just go one by one.
Okay, the first one, we're changing it from a Sunday sales to a holiday sales to be in compliance with state law. The clerk brought these all to my attention that we were not in compliance with the state law and we needed to change the wording.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, let's take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar.
Yes.
Council President Reno.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on. 525-2, ordinance and amendment of Title 5, Chapter 68 of the City of Cranston Code of Ordinances 2005, entitled Tobacco Dealers. May the sponsor please proceed.
This is repealing this because municipalities no longer have the authority of tobacco dealers. That is done through the state DBR now. So we're taking it off our books because it was confusing to people looking up what to do.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar.
Yes. Okay,
Council
moving
President
on.
Reno.
525,
One more. And Dan?
I'm gonna say yes when my name's called.
We were all on edge, Dan. We
Yeah.
didn't know what was going on.
that's all right, Dan.
too,
Don't worry about it. We
yes.
like you. All right, moving on. 525-03.
Once he gets enough, he stops. That's all.
525-03, ordinance and amendment of Title 5, Chapter 20 of the City of Cranston Code of Ordinances, entitled Bingo Games. Be careful with this one.
Same situation. The clerk brought this to my attention that the city no longer has authority and we've had this on our books for way too long. State Police Lottery Division handles out all bingo licenses. So it's just to take it off of our books so we're in compliance with General Assembly laws.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Council President Reno.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to ordinance 525-04, ordinance and amendment of Title 5, Chapter 32 of the City of Cranston Code of Ordinances 2005, entitled Flower Vendors. Sponsor, please proceed.
Same situation. There is no such thing as a flower vendor. It comes under a peddler's license. So we're making this ratified so that we are in compliance with the General Assembly law.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam President.
Thank you. Just saved it for the end. I just want to thank the clerk, Tracy Nelson, for her diligence in going through the ordinances and working with the solicitor's office. And I want to thank Councilwoman Haroyan as Chair of Safety Services as well to put this before us so that we can get this corrected. That's it. Thanks.
Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Banano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Council President Reno.
Yes.
Okay, now we're moving on to a resolution supporting the Rhode Island Bottle and Extended Producer Responsibility Bill, H6207, sponsored by our favorite friend. Councilwoman Graziano, please proceed.
Thank you. So I've been contacted by Save the Bay about supporting this bill. I've read through this bill. I actually work in the state of Massachusetts. This council has heard it 1,000 times. This is something that the state of Massachusetts does, and they do it well. When you cash out at a Target in Seekonk, I'm sure you've done it a million times. You go cash out and they charge you a deposit fee. And then they ask that you bring that back to a private recycling company and you get the money back. I do understand and I am aware of some controversy at the state with this. But what I don't think people understand is the lack of recycling in Rhode Island and how much trash we produce and how much falls on the municipalities to bear for any recycling that's refused at the recycling center has to be transported to the Rhode Island, to the RIRRC. And there's a burden. So just to give some facts, collectively 27 municipalities in the state of Rhode Island spend $15.6 million each year to collect recyclables, and roughly 29,000 tons of rejected recycling end up in Rhode Island's landfill last year. Currently, Providence taxpayers bear the highest burden, and they pay $1.4 million, which is a total of near 18,000 tons of rejected recycling in 2024. I don't know if you've frequented any of our parks here. Even in Cranston, there's no recycling. Those go directly into the landfill. I think there would be more incentive, in my opinion, if we were, I know it's a burden, I understand that, and I'm not aware that there would be a burden on the person that has to go to the deposit center and get the refund. But I do believe that it's something to further our environmental impact. Also, I do think it's going to discourage us from actually using plastic bottles. I don't think we should be using them. They're not good for our health. They have contaminants of concern in them when they're heated to, we have a couple here up here on our bench. When they're heated too hot, those chemicals that are in the bottles and we're drinking them, and I think it's not healthy. So I would be looking to reduce it. And I do believe that there are some pains. I'm sure you all felt pains when you had to no longer get plastic bags at your local grocer and you had to bring in your cloth bags. I'm sure there were some pains with that, but we did it, right? So we did it, and we did it for the environment. And I can't live with myself if I have to pass this down to the future generations. And I see it all too well at the schools, our parks, even our restaurants. It's not happening. And I believe this incentive will move us forward. So I'm in support of this. I'm sure there's going to be some opposition, but I'll feel better if I'm up here advocating for our future generations.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Sure. I want to thank Councilwoman Graziano for her advocacy. I do have some issues with the bill overall in terms of how this is going to be implemented in terms of fees, but I do agree with the spirit of it. And for that reason, I'm going to vote in favor of the resolution, and I will hope for and I have trust and reliance in our General Assembly to come up with something responsible. Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Horan.
I am also a big Save the Bay advocate. I think the world of my council member, but I will not be voting for this tonight. I don't believe this is the time for this bill. I personally go to BJ's and buy 40 bottles of water for $3.99. And if this were to go in effect, that would be 10 cents on a bottle. So the price would now be $7. The news right now is about cuts and SNAP, groceries, and I just don't feel like bill is the time for this. And having it isn't going to make people not litter their nips, not litter their plastic bottles, their beer cans. That's behavior. That's people being slobs. And I don't think that's going to change by having this bill. So I will not be voting for this tonight.
Anyone else for discussion? Councilwoman Graziano.
So I think the incentive lies with the consumer. I would like to discourage the use, period. Does anyone else here, can I just get a raise of hands for fun? How many people here drink their tap water at their house? Well, I haven't heard anything bad about our, thank you. I haven't heard anything about our tap water. I drink it. I would actually rather drink it over something in a plastic bottle. So I am going to always be environmentally friendly. And I think there would be some incentive for these restaurants. I mean, how many bottles do you think a restaurant goes through? Plastic bottles that a restaurant goes through in a night? I mean, most of our pizza places, I mean, I know I go to Bettel, my kids get an Orange Crush. So they'd be incentivized to do the deposit. And I know that there's a burden. I'm not aware of it, but I think that's on our generation to try to start fixing those things.
Councilman Bonanno.
I love Orange Crush, by the way, so someone over here at some point, if I get you the shade, I'll take a case. I have a question actually about the state bill because it was difficult to follow. And does it include metal cans, like Coke cans as well? It's just for plastic?
Sorry, no, it does not include aluminum cans.
Okay, all right.
Aluminum is our most recyclable resource.
Yeah.
It's the plastic bottles that become an issue because no one removed the little pieces of paper on them. And that's not recyclable. And there's a lot of contamination for those bottles.
Okay. I agree with Council President Marino and Councilwoman Horoyan both that the spirit of this is the spirit of it is good, for lack of a better term. The only thing that I have issue with is that it's packaged from certain folks at the General Assembly as, good for recycling, which it probably will be. But what it is it's a tax. It's a tax because there are people that, like Councilwoman Horoyan noted, they buy their bottled water or they buy their Coke or they buy their, talking about stuff that's not good for you, Coke is right up there, but, they buy their beverage in the plastic bottle. And I don't know of many people who are going to go with their kids to the baseball field with the bottled water because, they didn't have time to fill it in the Stanley cup. And they're going to throw it away because they don't want to cart all these. It's going to make a mess of their vehicle. It's going to make a mess of, how much they have to carry it home. And it's just going to wind up in the trash anyhow. I think that, working for the state for over a decade and attending public schools, albeit a little bit longer than I want to admit, I think that the state should focus more of its resource on recycling itself. Cities and towns should focus on recycling themselves. And, for instance, public schools, we had the bins in the rooms. There was a green one when I was in school, a blue one, and a garbage can. And, us as students and teachers would separate it out. And at the end of the day, when they came through and emptied the trash, they emptied it all into the same bin. Same thing happens at, I worked at DMV for over almost 11 years. We separated out. There were two different containers and I saw the staff at the end of the night all in the same container. The only thing that they recycled was the cardboard. I worked for the state at the ACI and, they do a great job with the cardboard. All the plastic stuff gets mixed in with there's no mechanism to recycle the plastic. So again, the spirit of it is great. I think it's great to encourage recycling. And if you ask my family, I'm rooting through the trash on trash day, pulling out stuff, that is in my own trash and I'm putting it in the recycle and my kids think I've lost it. Right. And my wife is like, what are you doing that for? But I think that the state and the cities and towns should practice what they preach. If they're gonna force recycling down the throats of the population, they should do it themselves. And B, I think that a lot of people who don't have the means are going to wind up, it's going to be an unintended tax. And I'm generally not in favor of any taxes in general, higher taxes in general, especially ones that are unintended. And even more so ones that will affect people who don't have as many means and are as fortunate in life as you or I. So, again, kudos to the spirit of it. I think this particular bill is extremely flawed, and I would want to see a better iteration of it at some point in the future.
Any other discussion? Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Campiano,
No.
Councilman Banano,
No,
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
No.
Council Vice President Wall,
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I'm waiting for you to say something. Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Council President Reno.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Council communications. There are none. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor, say aye. Any nay? Ayes have it. Motion. Committee's adjourned.
All right, at this time, I'm going to jump right on into a brief meeting, but we're going to wait 1 second for the clerk. Yep, just for those on Zoom and those in person, or more so for on Zoom, we are behind with our meetings this evening, and the next meeting up is the 7 o'clock, although it's 7:42, special meeting of the city council, but we will convene in about a minute, just waiting for the clerk to catch up to speed. Thanks. All right. Okay. Tom, we're good? All right, welcome to the special city council meeting for this evening, June 12th. At this time, if the clerk can please take the roll.
Campiano,
Present.
Councilman Banano,
Here.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Present.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Present.
Councilman Andujar,
Present.
Councilman Ritz,
Present.
Council Trafficante, Council Vice President Wall,
Here.
Council President Reno.
Present. We have the only matter before us, the introduction of new business. This is ordinance 6-25-01, the ordinance ratifying the firefighters contract, local union 1363 for July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2028. This is sponsored by Mayor Hopkins, and we are seeking to refer this to special finance committee meeting for this evening. Do I have a motion?
Motion to refer to a
Second.
special finance committee meeting.
Okay, and we get a second from Councilman Andujar. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Banano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar.
Yes.
Councilman Ritz.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Reno.
Yes.
Just one note before we adjourn this meeting. Take note in your agenda packet that on this ordinance, there is a page 2, okay, which begins with section 5. The clerk also has the original of that in her file. I point this out because it is not, page 2 is not part of your packet for the committee meeting. That's just a copying error, okay? So the referral is correct to the committee, and the actual ordinance does exist in her file with a page 2, okay?
At this time, we have a motion to adjourn before we move into special finance.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the, what is today's date? The June 12th Special Finance Committee meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I ask the clerk to please call the roll. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready and call the roll.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Here.
Councilman Andujar,
Present.
Councilman Ritz,
Present.
Council Trafficante, Councilwoman Horoyan,
Present.
Council Vice President Wall,
Here.
Council President Reno.
Present.
Thank you. First item of business would be public comment. Is there anyone in the chambers tonight who would like to speak on docketed matters only? You will have 4 minutes, and please state your name and your address for the record. Please step up to the podium if you'd like to speak. Okay. There being none, is there anyone online who would like to speak on docketed matters only?
There is no public comment online.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to close public comment. First matter for consideration would be 6-25-01, an ordinance ratifying the IAFF, International Association of Firefighters contract from Local 1363, which commenced on July 1st, 2025, and run until June 30th, 2028. Before we begin, is there someone from the administration who would like to speak on this matter? Director Moretti?
Short of going over the details, if you wish, I'm certainly happy to explain them. But generally speaking, the negotiations started, if I recall, give or take early March or so. I could be corrected. We've had some spirited dialogue with the executive board members of the union. The bottom line, I think it came out where I don't think the firefighters were entirely happy with this contract. And at the same time, I don't think the city was entirely happy with the contract. To me, I think that nets out to a good contract. And in all sincerity, there was respect on both sides. And we think it is a fine contract for the taxpayers and a fine contract for the firefighters that protect the people of the city.
Director Murray, can I ask you a question just, and maybe I'm asking wrong. So this has gone before the collective bargaining unit or the firefighters union?
It has been ratified by the firefighters union.
Thank you. All right, so I'm looking for, so we can have discussion. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Is there any discussion? Councilman
Well,
Andujar. And I'm going to go back to you, Councilman.
Oh.
You get the floor.
the clothing, is that just like the uniforms, or is that also count the tactical gear?
That was for the coveralls, for the mechanics, if I recall, if that's the section you're referring to.
Oh, yes, okay, all right.
You're all set, right, Councilman? Okay. Council President Marino.
Sure, just a couple of questions for the director. One is, we do have the fiscal note. It's the question that always comes up every time. We just want to be certain that this is a contract that we can afford and that it was already considered when the recently adopted budget for this next fiscal year was adopted. And the other second question is for the director in terms of just highlighting any significant changes for the council. Thanks.
Okay, sure thing. First off, it's affordable. Frankly, it was reserved in the vicinity of in the budget is about $650,000 that the finance director had put aside. This budget does exceed that by less than $200,000. Speaking with the finance director, he feels confident that we will be able to work with the fire administration to find ways of coming up with that money in the budget that they do have. So yes, it to a certain extent it exceeded the money provided, but we think it is affordable and we will still achieve budget given this contract. As to the highlights, the most significant, obviously, typically comes down to the financial aspect of the budget. So I'll hit those. And what it does is provide, we'll say COLA, or cost of living increases for the group of 2.25% on each of the each anniversary of 6 months, meaning July 1st, there'll be a coming up, there'll be a 2.25% increase. January 1st, of 26, there'll be a 2.5% increase. That repeats itself with one exception, and that being in the last year of the contract, year 3. That last 6-month segment there'll be a 2.5% increase instead of a 2.25% increase. There was a change to longevity. Again, everything was arrived at through negotiation and in compromise. But there are several steps currently in the longevity schedule. And in the old contract, if you will, the one expiring June 30th, there was after 17 years of service, there was a 13.55% longevity payments to the members. What we did is, so from now we made a change to say 17 to 22 through 22 years is a 13.55%, but we added another layer. So after 22 years of service, that goes up to those employees at the rate of 14.55%. Another notable change was the payment of a holiday pay to the firefighters, whereas they would have received for each holiday 32.5% of weekly pay. The proposed to you this evening is going to 35% of weekly pay, and I believe that takes it in parity with the police department. In terms of other increases, for the newer members of the department, the last three firefighter classes, that they would, each of those members would receive an incremental $500 increase in effective July 1st of this year. Another point would be an administrative change, something that was not a change that was maintained in the contract, was the administration of the fire department and the city administration could hold back up to 5 firefighter positions at any point versus full complement. It allows that flexibility, if you will. One of the things we're looking at certainly, is which is not in the contract per se, but evaluating Rescue 5. But we've agreed to assess that. Rescue 5 being the part-time overtime funded rescue out of Station 3, I believe it is. And just to see the viability of that, yes, it's causing overtime, but we're just going to check out what the proper balance of adding, whether it be adding staff, if you will, see what the financial and response benefit would be. So we're going to agree. We've agreed to both diligence. This has been in existence now for several years. We've agreed to really give that a hard look over the next few months. Excuse me. Those were I'll say the key financial aspects. Again, there's just a couple of other small changes. Frankly, I don't think it has a significant impact. There is organizationally, there were some changes where we have the ranks of chief, we have two assistant chiefs, we have our battalion chiefs, and we have our deputy chiefs. The nomenclature for our deputy chiefs, now we're going to be called division chiefs, and division chief of EMS of the various, I'll say, jurisdictions of the department, to better articulate the role when someone hears of it can refer to a particular rank. So no change other than identity, if you will, easier to identify. Again, there's a couple of them, probably more confusing if I mention it doesn't have a significant impact. I'm passing on those. But they're not many, we'll call them management changes. There was really just some contract language that we, kind of changed, and to cleaning up the contract or for a little bit of ease in terms of understanding the contract, in terms of relationship with the administration and the firefighters union. Gentlemen, if I'm missing anything, feel free to correct me or add to it.
Director Murray just asked if there's anything you'd like to add to it, if he's missing any of the highlights of the contract.
I think the director pretty much hit everything on the head. We did make some changes to mirror city policy. The way we operate our sick bank has to be chief of the department as well as the city administration. We kind of curb some of that.
A couple of other very minor ones.
Yeah, just some very minor things, the way we move guys around throughout the city, that it's honestly, it confuses some. Like he said, we had some spirited conversations. There were definitely days where I know I left walking out of that room wondering what was going on. But like he said, they left a little unhappy, and we left a little unhappy. I could agree with the director more that makes for a good contract.
Thank you. Now you pretty much, you hit most of the highlights. I'm going to take some questions from the council. I'm going to go to you,
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan. I'm going to circle right around and see what.
Could you just clarify? I'm confused when you said you could hold back fifers. Does that mean like for overtime or
And just staffing levels.
they wouldn't get promoted?
No, in terms of, there's minimum manning. It's be able to, in terms of, which we still have minimum manning in the contract, but in terms of the hiring of the full complement of the authorized complement of the department, to be able to hold back the hiring of 5 positions.
Would you like to add something to that, Mr. Francis?
I was just gonna try to help the director clarify that a little bit.
By all means.
Organizationally, we're 196 members. The director's referring to is we're allowed to drop down to 191 before the city's required to take some sort of action or the union on manpower.
You okay?
I don't think they have enough firefighters, so, okay.
That's what they say.
You're all set, Councilwoman? That's a yes. Okay. I'm going to go right around. I see Councilman Bonanno, and then I'm going to take Councilman Andujar.
I only have 2 things to say. First one is, I think that our firefighters do a fantastic job. I think they're, you've heard this before, and I truly believe that they're the best fire department in the state. Anytime we have questions for them as a council, anytime we need them as a council, anytime I've needed them, for family members or people who have fallen or, they come, they do their job, well beyond, well. To say they do their job well is an understatement, and I appreciate their service to our city. I also want to say how happy I am to hear that the administration and the union have come to a tentative agreement with respect to the station across from the Cranston Printworks. I think that, and I know Councilman Andujar will back me up, that to have a more of a presence of the rescue in that area, especially with all of the 55+ residences that are in that part of the city, I think that's a great thing. And I think
Got to state of the contract.
yeah, it's got to do with the contract, right? So the fact that that is in there and.
I just want to check in with Attorney Angel. That's in the, is we outside the purview? All right, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Councilman, I didn't mean to, but.
No, it's okay. I'm glad to hear that that's.
He keeps
part
us
of-
on the straight and narrow.
He does. Thank goodness. But I lost my train of thought. I'm glad that that's been mentioned to put that and man that full-time and investigate that to make sure that that's a good idea. Thank you.
Councilman Andujar.
Director, you said that the rescue at Station 3 is part-time?
we're calling it Rescue 5, the incremental, the workouts are one shift operation, if you will. There's a truck, but so outside the contract, there has been this Rescue 5, if you will. There's the MOA supposedly floating around. Frankly, we haven't identified it, but certainly the merits of it are there. Yes, it's outside the contract.
Hats off to you. I mean, I've done budgets and they're horrible, but I would strongly urge to make that a permanent rescue. I mean, people are just rolling over from Providence into Ward 3, and we have a big issue, and hats off to the firefighters that are always answering the call. So I would urge that in the future, we can make that part-time rescue a permanent rescue, because my area definitely needs it. Thank you.
Councilman, Chair, may I?
That would, just, I want to be clear, is that language you're speaking of, is that in the contract?
It is not in the
Then
contract.
really, we shouldn't be discussing it. I know, I understand your sentiment, but I think we're trying to keep it on straight and narrow. So no, you don't have to address it. Perhaps we'll put it on another agenda. All right, is there any other question? I see Councilman Ritz across the way.
One last question. The fire station located on Comstock Parkway, will that be fully staffed?
Yes, it'll continue to be.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to finish it up. You pretty much said your piece. You, Council President?
Thank you, Chair. That way you get the last word. I just want to thank Director Moretti for the information this evening, for addressing the questions, and for the work put into the contract along with the firefighters union. We're glad that we were able to accommodate this so that the contract, if approved, can hit the ground running with the beginning of the fiscal year. And I just want to thank them again, the fire department, for all of their great service to the city. Thank you.
And just to finish up, I couldn't say it any better, so I won't try to repeat it. I want to thank you for your service, and I appreciate the efforts that both sides went through to make this contract, bring it to the table tonight. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Okay, so having no further business before this committee, the chair would look very favorable upon a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
June 12th, Safety Services and Licenses Committee to order. Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
Councilwoman Graziano,
Present.
Councilman Andujar,
Present.
Councilman Ritz,
Present.
Councilman Trafficante, Council Vice President Wall,
Here.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment tonight on on docketed items only?
Good evening. I'm the Cat Fire Marshal, City of Cranston. So I'm just gonna speak on Zincs because that's all set. But I just wanted to update you on the 8+ that were outstanding. We did like 6 of them this week. We had a couple more come in, so a lot of the ones that we were waiting to get stuff done have been getting things
Madam
done.
Chair.
And,
Madam
I'm
Chair.
sorry, we don't mean to
if-
interrupt.
If this isn't on the agenda, it can't be talked about. If it
no, I'm just
doesn't-
saying the automotives. The automotive inspection.
Automotive, but that's.
I was talking about Zincs.
Oh, just about Zincs?
Guys, just talking about Zincs.
Sorry.
Just saying that.
Okay, then. The next matter is used auto dealer license and a.
There's no public comment online.
To close public comment. The next matter is Zink's Auto Sales and Service. I believe they could be here tonight. Are you here from Zink's? If you want to come right up to the podium, you can. Come up. Could you state your name? Oh, there's nobody here. Just state your name and address.
The name of the business? My name Elizabeth Bernard Diminier.
Okay, tonight before us, we're gonna do the used auto dealer license. There was a clerical error in the clerk's office and they did not list the other 2 licenses. So we're gonna do that one tonight, and then on our regular meeting night on the 23rd, we'll hear the other 2 licenses. Your license is in effect and you don't need it to July 1st, so that will be okay, all right?
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna ask for a motion tonight to reconsider the used auto dealer license for Zinks.
Motion.
Actually, excuse me, Chairman, actually, the motion would be to reconsider the denial of the license.
Motion to reconsider the denial of the license for Zink's Auto Sale and Service.
Second.
Discussion. Okay. Clerk, could I please have a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Okay, and I believe all their paperwork is in and everything is accurate, correct, clerk?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve Zink's Auto Sales and Service License.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Clerk, may I please have a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if I could just make a comment with regard to the other 2 licenses. So it's my understanding that there'll be another special meeting before the council meeting. Since this was a clerical error on the part of the city, I just want to represent for the record that the city will not take any adverse action on the other 2 licenses because they have not been renewed. We're only talking about a 7-day period, roughly 2 weeks, whatever it is, before the council meeting. So we don't want to punish them for something that wasn't their fault.
I think their licenses are active to the end of June, and this
Oh,
is, so they
okay,
go in
then.
effect on July 1st. Thank you, Solicitor. Okay, so you're all set, and we'll hear the other 2 on the 23rd.
Okay.
Thank you for coming
Thank you,
tonight.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, the next matter before us is Atwood Greenhouses. I believe they are also here tonight.
My name is Daniel Arquette. I'm the attorney for Atwood Greenhouse. This is a matter of background, Madam Chairwoman and the committee. The Atwood Greenhouse, Inc. is a corporation incorporated by the state of Rhode Island, Secretary of State's office in good standing. The same family has operated the business at 700 Atwood Avenue for 70 years. And just as a matter of fact, in April of this year, it celebrated its 70th anniversary in business. Right now, there's a third generation ownership of the business. In one form or the other, whether it was a sole proprietorship or now a corporation. As I said, it's at the same location. I think the issue here has been a miscommunication at best. That the business changed accountants 2 years ago. And the new, I'll call it the new accountant, did not pick up the fact that the taxes to the state of Rhode Island had not been paid. And that, of course, triggered the business license here in the city, and now the holiday license, which has come up. That's been rectified. I have previously provided a retail sales permit to the clerk of the Business License Committee over a month ago for 2025. So the city's in possession of that. I also have tonight to present a letter of good standing from the Rhode Island Division of Taxation indicating that all taxes are paid and the company is in good standing with the division.
Has that been put through the portal to the clerk?
No, it has not, because it was just received today.
If I may, through the chair, I'll make a motion to accept the letter from the Division of Taxation
You
into
second
the
that
record.
motion?
Discussion.
Dan seconded.
Any discussion on accepting the okay, no? Clerk, could I have a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Graziano?
Yes.
Councilman Andujar?
Yes.
Councilman Ritz?
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan?
Yes.
Council President Reno?
And not to make it any further excuse, it was clearly a lack of communication from my client to the city, and the fact that and the failure to communicate from the client to the city that caused this issue to raise to this present time. But I think based on the letter that's been presented from the Division of Taxation, the prior retail sales permit, which was submitted, as I said, approximately a month ago for 2025, that the corporation is in good standing, taxes have been paid in full, and that we're asking that the committee issue the holiday license because of the good standing now of the corporation as of through the date of the letter.
Thank you, and I did appreciate you reaching out to me this week and
Thank you
letting
very
me
much.
know you
Thank
had
you
been
for
working on it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask for a motion to reconsider the denial.
Motion to reconsider the denial.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Andujar?
Council, I've been on the council for 6 months now, and this has been up every month. So hopefully your client will read their emails and be more proactive to responding to us.
I can say yes,
Okay, thank you.
definitely.
Councilman
I was just gonna
Ritz?
make a comment. I'm glad, we could work this all out. I'm a customer there. I've been a customer there for years. Always enjoy shopping there, so glad it worked out.
Okay, clerk, may I please have a roll call on the reconsideration?
Councilwoman Graziano?
Yes.
Councilman Andujar?
Yes.
Councilman Ritz?
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan?
Yes.
Council President Reno?
Yes.
Could I please have a motion to approve this license?
Motion to approve the holiday sales license renewal of Atwood Greenhouses.
Second.
Any discussion? May I please have a roll call, okay, roll call vote?
Councilwoman Graziano?
Yes.
Councilman Andujar?
Yes.
Councilman Ritz?
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan? Council President Reno?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to call for the meeting to be adjourned. All those in favor say aye. All
Motion
those
to
nay.
adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.